No, you can't close your door and have your privacy. This isn't really a story, but I just wanted to post this. So only last year I got my own room. Before, it was a connected room with my brother and it only had a tiny shelf in the middle. I moved to my brother's side of the room because the other side was really annoying because everyone who walked on the road just stared at me or stopped and just kept staring. Probably because I always have headphones and they probably think I'm playing. Now that I have my own room, I want to keep my door shut, just like my brother wants to. The door isn't the typical kind of door. It has no lock, and it's a sliding door. When my mom comes home and it's closed, she will just open it and say that it can't be closed. Some of her reasons being that we will suffocate and it will be too hot. I can only keep the door closed if I'm playing with my friends. Even then, she's against it. When she comes in when I'm playing, she knocks, and then 0.002 seconds later opens the door. I don't have anything really to hide, but it's just annoying when I'm watching something or whatever and she's in the kitchen reading or something. She can clearly see my monitor and me. She spends about 60% of her time there when home. My brother's room is even worse. It can be seen from the kitchen and the living room, which my dad spends 95% of his time when home. Edit had to come clear some things up. Firstly, I'm 17. Our house only has one door with a lock, plus front and back door. The lock is on a bathroom which no one ever locks. She says that it could get stuck and is just unnecessary. There is a lock on the room where we shower and shit, but she says the key has always been missing so we don't use it. She almost always opens the door and peeks in the shower and says something about saving warm water for other people. It's a problem in our house, or something else. Basically the same thing every day. I don't dress up in my room. Every one of us dresses up in one room. No door even, and it can be seen from the kitchen clearly. Does she leave her door open all the time? As a parent, I understand wanting to make sure my kids aren't up to mischief, but she is fostering an environment of no trust in your home. Maybe tell her that you want to have a respectful and open relationship, but that she needs to give you the opportunity to show her that you can be trusted. I agree with this. It's a tough one. I remember being young and my parents doing something similar. I get that they want to monitor and check in on you because you are their kid, but I do agree that parents need to cut the umbilical cord a little and give their kids the chance to be independent to a certain degree. It's hard because depending on your mom's reaction, this conversation could either go well or horribly. I feel for you. I'm 36 years old and looking back, I'm not happy with how my parents handled everything. But there wasn't much I could do about it at the time. I would say you know her best, so bring it up in the most respectful way possible. Maybe state the reasons why it bothers you and ask her if you can do a trial run of doing it your way, then be a perfect angel during that trial run if she agrees to it. Maybe even check in with her from time to time. Open the door, say hi or ask her a random question so she doesn't feel isolated from you. Best of luck. It's a tough age, but you'll get through it. Force her room door open when sexy time happens. I had several classmates whose parents had taken the "you must earn our trust" way. Guess what? 100% of them had never gotten their parents' trust, as their parents always believed that the second their offspring is out of sight, they're pushing drugs to preschoolers or something. This again resulted in kids that had no will of their own, and even in their 20s they'd constantly ask their parents for advice, which was just thinly veiled permission to live their lives. I can just imagine what their lives will be when their parents eventually die, or should they get married and the new husband/wife doesn't only marry them, they also marry the parents whose input runs the offspring's life. Use her own logic against her. When she suggests that you will suffocate or get too hot while in your room with door closed, then you should insist that you help her take their bedroom door off too. When she walks in 2 milliseconds, ask her if you can do the same whenever they have the door closed and the floor is squeaking. Suggest you and your brother will bring a chair so you can watch wholesome living. Finally, suggest that they have instilled good judgment in your brother and you, and all their antics are doing is instilling resentment. Remind them that you get to pick their nursing home. I did a similar thing with my sister. So for backstory, my older sister had a habit of just barging into my room without knocking. Eventually I got sick of this shit. So I decided for some petty revenge. I was chillin' one day and then I could hear my sister and her girlfriend start to get frisky. I waited about 5 minutes before just barging in. Now you would think this is all I had to do, and you would be right. But for some reason I decided to also just walk up to the bed and take a seat to the side of it, and just started trying to initiate a conversation while maintaining eye contact with my sister. Now to set the scene, here was sister half naked with a blanket over her because of the door opening with her GF under the blanket, and here I was sitting right near my sister. Just talking about how nice weather we got. How nice it is to close the door and expect people to knock. Eventually I left and closed the door while saying don't party too hard. She complained to my parents and managed to get a lock on her door, but from then onwards she always knocked on my door. My parents would never have done this. Even when I was a small child, they even knocked. And if for some reason they forgot to, they'd say sorry. We were brought up to respect other people, their property, and their privacy. Even if there's nothing inappropriate for other people going on, it was still rude to barge in without asking. Hell, it didn't matter if we were on our own, or if we had friends and family over. You treat people's property with respect, infusing their bedrooms, then they'll do the same for you. My cousins used to be little shits, and they weren't raised like that as kids. So we just stopped asking them over, because it would be stressful and incredibly confusing. Why do they not do the same? But this is seriously disgusting that you don't get to feel completely relaxed, on the off chance that someone decides to fucking barge in, like some sort of shrew. Man, I hate the knock while opening the door thing. I told my parents multiple times that I, a 20-year-old guy, would like to have some privacy at home. So please knock and wait until I either open the door or tell you to come in. My dad immediately started to do it like that. He knocks, I don't answer. He knocks a little bit louder, but usually I hear him the first time and open the door. Mom is like knocking with the door handle already on her hands. I'm always like, you're not telling me you're coming in, you are asking for permission to enter my room. If I do not grant you immediate permission to enter my room, you have to wait until I do. I don't think she will ever learn. She's used to being able to just waltz in there like she owns the place. I can't imagine having to keep my door open with my parents being able to just watch me existing. So glad I got my own floor, so that ain't really an issue. 2 words, door stopper. Get a folded paper under the door. Laughs guaranteed.